Hey guys, just welcome back just to another video. Just doing another DVD Blu-ray style video for you for August 2012. I think I've got 9 here. I think I've got 8 Blu-rays and just 1 DVD. Yeah, so let's get cracking. First one's actually a bit of a cheat because I've actually had this one in my collection for quite a while, but I thought I might show it. I think mainly because some of these are pretty sort of new releases and sort of very popular, so I don't really want to have a bit of mix up, I suppose. Something a little bit different. Anyway, I got one here, one called the Jacuzzi, which I think came out 1974 with Robert Mitchum. What's the other person's name? Tanturi Ken. And Brian Keith. He's a very sort of famous character actor. Directed by Sidney Pollack. So 1974. Just one I've sort of watched a few times sort of over the years, and just one I've really sort of enjoy. Essentially, it's about the Robert Mitchum character's his character's name's Harry Kilmer. Eventually, he sort of gets this sort of a message from one of his old friends who's living in Japan. He's a businessman. He's sort of made a bit of a dodgy deal with the Yakuza. It's sort of gone a bit wrong, because it's sort of asking for Robert Mitchum's character to come back. Sort of give him a bit of a hand, I suppose, to get him out of trouble. Sort of thing. So that's sort of the basic sort of premise to it. It's just sort of a film, I suppose, about coming back to your past. So I think it's been like 18 years or something since he's sort of seen his friends. So he's sort of coming back to Japan again, and I think he might have been in the war. I think he was like a police officer or something back in, I think, the World War II or something. So this is like the first time he's come back, since then, sort of thing. So it's something about sort of reliving your past and seeing old people from your past, sort of thing. But yeah, it's a really good sort of it's not a really good sort of not sort of over the top and bloody and full on action scene type movie. It's more of a sort of slow drama type thing with a lot of sort of Japanese sort of customs and nice sort of simple sort of samurai fights, stuff like that. I think this is the 108-minute version. I think there's actually a longer version. I think it was only released in Japan apparently, but that's got just there's only just got a few more to do, a few extra scenes, more to do with Japanese customs type thing. That's which I think was sort of cut out, obviously for the American release. I think I thought maybe the Americans might have got a bit bored or something with that. But anyway, I think it's definitely a really good movie. What should I say about really? But yeah, it's sort of slow burning type drama and a few twists and turns, and yeah, it's definitely a good one to watch. Rest got here Blu-rays. So obviously, first one I had to sort of get this month or last month was obviously the Jaws Digi-pack, which I wasn't going to pick up originally. I thought it was going to be sort of fairly expensive, so I didn't sort of bother. But I sort of found it was only like $25 sort of in store, which I thought was reasonably cheap, actually for a Digi-book. And I had sort of heard it was sort of going to come out of print pretty quick. A lot of people are having issues, especially in America, trying to find trying to track down a copy. So I thought I'd go in and rush in and buy it. A lot of people have already done sort of showings on this and done reviews of it already, so I don't need to perhaps go too much into it. But definitely, it looks a lot better on Blu-ray. Just really great sort of movie. Definitely, the first half's about sort of the shark, the town, and the town trying to deal with the shark and stuff like that. So it's very sort of around the town. Then the second half's more sort of about, I suppose you could say, about 3 men getting drunk and going fishing sort of thing. That's pretty much what it is, in some ways anyway. But yeah, it's definitely a good one to check out. Obviously, next 3 here are ones that I did sort of show last week in my update, but I hadn't sort of watched them, so I thought I obviously watched them now, so I might sort of quickly
go into them. I've got here the Attack the Block, which I think came out last year. I'll just say I really didn't like this one much. I just I don't know if I want to go into too much detail, I suppose, of why I didn't like it, but I just didn't like the characters. I thought they were just really annoying and really, I don't know, I just sort of want to be thugs that couldn't speak properly, or bruv and governor, all these sort of, I don't know, British, I don't know, just learn how to speak properly, sort of thing. And I don't know, I didn't know all that much about it, but I was sort of expecting it had Nick Frost, is it? Yeah, I think he was in it, so I thought it might have been a bit of comedy in it, but I didn't find anything. I don't think I laughed once in the whole sort of movie. He's only in it for a few minutes here and there overall, so and I just found it like if you've ever seen it reminded me a lot of the Horde, which was like a horror movie. I think it's a French horror movie. This is basically just like a kid's version of that, pretty much. I mean, it was very sort of. I didn't find it very sort of realistic. It was more of a sort of kiddies version of it, of a movie, But anyway, next, I got Battleship, which I think came out this year or last year. This year, I think. Now, you sort of go online, people absolutely trash this movie and say what big pile of rubbish it is, and stuff like that. Which I knew before I even started to watch it was going to be pretty bad, but I did actually quite enjoy it. It was very entertaining. I mean, it was totally ridiculous and over the top, and but I really did enjoy watching it. I was sort of literally on the edge of my seat, sort of wanting to know what was going to happen next, sort of thing, Essentially, it's about like the U.S. Navy. I think it got like, I don't know, it got like some young. I think it's like some young officers, I think, and they're sort of being trained, So obviously they're having some like war games basically, so they're getting all ready for that sort of thing. Like have the Japanese on one side, then you have the US on one side, or something like that. So they're about to sort of start that anyway. But this, basically, we have like an alien invasion type thing come down when they're sort of about to start this, and I think because we've sort of sent. The scientists of the Earth have sort of sent off this message off to some far-flung place in the universe, like a signal type thing, and obviously the aliens have received that, and they're going to come down and attack, basically. So that's pretty much the plot to it. And you've also got that's sort of on the sea, so that's what the action is basically. You've also got one of the main character's girlfriends. She's on like an island. That's where the communications tower is. This is where we sort of sent the signal from. So that's where the aliens have gone to as well. The other sort of there's sort of two sort of sets of aliens. The warriors, they're sort of on the sea fighting the US Navy, and then the scientist type aliens, they're sort of on this island trying to send a communication message back home type thing, phone home type thing. So you've got the guy's girlfriend. She's on there. She's trying to sabotage, trying to blow up the obviously the communications type thing, communications tower. But I just thought it was really good. It was really just totally ridiculous movie. But it was fun watching. And the first opening scene, I just thought was absolute rubbish, just stupid. So yeah, I thought it was going to be a pretty bad film after that. But that's definitely if you just want something really cheesy, just ridiculous. That's definitely worth a watch. Also, I got Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino. I think it's one of his might have been his first sort of major film he ever sort of made. Just before Pulp Fiction. So I've seen this one, seen this one a few times over the years. Good sort of very violent and great sort of signature type dialogue from Quentin Tarantino's sort of famous for that. Good sort of flick. A lot of people think these days really sort of. Well, some people sort of come down on it, saying it's not a very good film, but if you sort of think about it, it's only sort of set in 3 locations. You've sort of got these actors that are just sort of acting in like an empty warehouse for most of the film. They're just sort of communicating with each other. There's no real. There's obviously very violent to it, but there's also it's just them talking basically the whole time. It's very. I think that'd be very hard to sort of. There's no distractions basically. It's just watching these characters on screen, sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good, very sort of uncomfortable. Some scenes are a bit uncomfortable. So what I got was artificial intelligence, which I did a bit of a review of I think a few videos back. If you want to sort of watch that, so I won't talk about that one too much. But I thought that was a pretty good, not a perfect film maybe, but I thought that was reasonably good. I think I got a little cheap one, which I found very cheap. LA Confidential, which I think came out in 1997. Got some pretty big stars in it. Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, Kim Basinger, and Danny DeVito. Yeah, it's definitely a really good sort of crime type, drama type movie, and about police corruption, and I think Guy Pearce is he's like a new sort of up and coming officer type thing, and he sort of wants to sort of stamp out the corruption and sort of wants to be a good cop sort of thing, which I think he sort of finds just find it a bit hard to sort of to do that. But anyway, but that's definitely a good sort of movie. Yeah, I won't go into too much about detail of that one, but that's definitely a good sort of, if you like sort of crime drama, police corruption type movies, that's pretty cool. One I got here is one, Deliverance, which I think came out 1970 something or other, which I did sort of watch. I heard lots of really great things about it, and so I did sort of watch it a few years ago, and I wasn't really all that impressed with it. But I thought I might give it another go, and I did quite enjoy it a lot better the second time around. It's just it's got the famous sort of the dueling banjo scene, and then you also got the famous sort of squeal like a piggy type scene, which I think's been parodied to death these days, and it's very hard to sort of take that scene seriously now, especially if you go onto the IMDb website. There's a lot of people on there just poking fun at that scene sort of thing. So it's about sort of four guys, four sort of city guys, and they sort of basically this river is going to be sort of flooded, and this town's going to be flooded to sort of make way for this big sort of mining company. They're going to come in and obviously mine the land, so they're going to have to sort of flood this river and flood the town, sort of in order to sort of to do that. So this is like their sort of the last chance to sort of go down, sort of canoe down this river. So that's what they're doing basically, and that's the premise to it, I suppose. And obviously they meet some of the locals, and that doesn't go down terribly well. But that's definitely a great movie, and great acting, and I think it launched Burt Reynolds' career, and Ned Beatty's career, and but very much like a landmark film, I think. Based on a book. I think the actual writer's actually in the movie at the end. I think he plays like the cop at the end. It's a bit of a cameo sort of thing. But yeah, definitely a good one to watch. What's one I got here is actually a Criterion. I actually bought, I think, 3 Criterions. I've got the 2 which I haven't watched yet. But this one I have watched. Total blind buy, but it was I wanted to perhaps get a few Criterions. So this one's called The Secret of the Grain. I think it came out in 2007. It's actually quite a really good film, I thought. Essentially, it's about a 60-year-old sort of. I think he's like an immigrant from some. I think he's an Arab immigrant who's now living in France. It's just sort of about his family sort of thing. Like he sort of. The film sort of starts out with him. He's sort of working at this. I think it's like a boatyard. He's about 60 years old, so he's a bit slow, and I think his employer he's getting a bit stick with him because he can't work fast enough to get the job done. So that's sort of how the film starts, and then the next scene he sort of gets some fish, and he sort of goes to visit his ex-wife, and she doesn't really want the fish. Because she's got like a freezer load of fish, because he keeps bringing you fish all the time. I think because it's the only thing he can sort of give her. I think that's all he has to sort of give her. So that's what he does all the time. And so she doesn't really like it. She sort of tells him he doesn't really want it. So then he goes to his daughter's house, and she sort of says the same thing to him in so many words. And then he goes to visit his. Well, I'm not sure if it's his other daughter or it's his new wife's daughter. I got a bit confused there with that, but I think he sort of treats her like his daughter. But anyway, So she's really happy to get the fish. She's really really ecstatic to sort of get some fish off him, sort of thing. And that's essentially what the film is. It's just sort of about, it's kind of like a documentary style, I suppose, just about his family. So he decides to sort of leave work, and he gets some redundant money, a bit of a payout type thing. So he decides to get this idea of sort of buying this really old, crappy, rusted out boat and doing it up and sort of putting a restaurant on it, and sort of so that's the sort of second half of the film. Yeah, the film is just the film about sort of just about his family, and very much a film about he's like an immigrant, and there's so much how sort of parents sort of give up their own happiness basically for their children to sort of keep their, to provide for their children and make them happy, sort of thing, for the future type thing. So this, I mean, it's not necessarily this boat idea. It's obviously his idea, I suppose, but it's not for him. It's not really for his retirement. It's more for his sort of kid's future. To give him something to work for, and provide some money, I suppose, for his children, for future generations type thing. But yeah, I actually thought it was a really good sort of film. It's an hour and 54 minutes, so it was a really long film, and the only thing I didn't like about it was that it was too long. It was some really nice sort of scenes about certainly probably goes for a half an hour of him just sort of him and his family sitting around, just I think it was like Sunday lunch or something. They're just sort of sitting there talking. It's very sort of natural documentary style. There's no all ad-libbed or something. I don't know. It might be all ad-libbed, but to me it seemed really ad-libbed and real natural, and just as if you're watching someone's normal family just having lunch, sort of thing. And just some of these scenes are just far too long. I think that was about half an hour, that scene. Or it felt like about half an hour. They could have cut that in half, and other scenes are just far too long. They still could have cut them down and still made it, a really really good scene. But what was I going to say? Definitely a really good film. Probably a film I won't watch all the time. But just some great scenes in it, and just really good sort of natural acting, and definitely a great sort of film, I thought. So that's that. That's the Stick It to Green. So that's my update. Hope you enjoyed that. Want to leave some comments below, that'd be great. And thanks for watching.